Week 11 of the NFL season kicks off tonight with a big one, so it's time to make our picks for every game today on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast.
You are Locked On NFL Scouting with the Draft Dudes, your daily podcast for NFL and college football scouting. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's better than this? It's guys being dudes here on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast. We're the Draft Dudes. I'm Joe Marino from Locked On Bills. He's Kyle Crabbs from Locked On Dolphins. And we are your NFL experts here with you daily to talk team building across the league on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast with the Draft Dudes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'd like to thank you for making Locked On NFL Scouting your first listen every day, and a big welcome and shout out to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single episode, we appreciate y'all being here very, very much. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100.
Joe, it's game day for two AFC North teams. We have our own game day where we have to pick all the games, so we have to show up and perform at a high level, which we did not do last week. Last week was not our best work across the board. There were 2 7s and 7 and 7s and a 6 and 8 performance posted by you, me, and the computer. And I regret to inform you that I was the one that posted the 6 and 8.
Oh, man.
So the computer outpaced me against the spread versus me just straight up pick 'em.
So I'm only 2 back.
You are 2 back, yes.
Wow.
Your win percentage to date, Draft Dudes do math. Done 150
is
so far. 59%.
Oh, got to get over 60
for Joe Marino.
Got to get over 60.
91 divided by 151. I am at 60%.
Mm.
And the show is at 52% against the spread.
Yeah.
So they're not picking just straight up pick them. They are picking against the spread, which I would be willing to bet if we went back and just did roster rankings, that would be the best one.
Well, if you're bored this weekend, Kyle Crabbs, here's the thing. I know you well enough that you're going to do this. You're going to find
Probably.
a way. Yeah, you won't be able to contain yourself. I know how it goes. This will be done.
And it's now or never because there's only 10 weeks of completed games, and then we'd have the Thursday game. So
yeah.
We'll see.
Shall we? Kyle Crabbs, also big shout out to Kyle Crabbs rocking the satin starter jacket that you can get over at Homage. Great place for apparel. If you need a link, hit us up. We'll help you with that. So, all right, Thursday Night Football, do your thing.
Yeah, so if you're new to the Thursday program in season, Joe and I pick the games straight up. And then the roster power rankings that we do where we assess all the players on all the teams and give them a numerical value. And we have this methodology as far as quantifying the roster for all 32 teams. And that's living and breathing and dynamic and changes based on who's available and who plays and who's injured and so on and so forth. We have an algorithm to pick against the spread. So the computer, aka the show, is picking against the spread, and we are using the FanDuel lines. And Joe and I are just picking straight up. And our first game is Cincinnati, off of a rough loss last week, is facing the Baltimore Ravens at home on a short week. The Ravens a little banged up, Joe.
Yeah, it's Stanley, Humphrey. Those guys are in jeopardy, if not ruled out at this point. We'll see with Cincinnati, right? They've got some guys that are questionable as well.
Yeah. It sounds like Hendrickson's going to try to go.
What a crappy way for him to get hurt. Did you see it?
Just a crummy, just plays over, guy stumbles backwards. I'm glad it wasn't something more serious than a hyperextended knee because that would have been such a brutal, hypothetical season ender. So I'm glad that they avoided that. So as far as this game goes, Joe, FanDuel has the spread at Baltimore minus 3.5. I do think Baltimore's playing better football. But from a divisional game standpoint, I think Cincinnati has a higher sense of urgency. I think the guys that are banged up for Baltimore can really hurt their chances to win this game. I'm going to pick the Bengals to win on the road on Thursday night because I feel like for Cincinnati and their aspirations for what they want this season to be, it's now or never.
3 weeks in a row, you and I are going to be different on Thursday Night Football. I have a simple formula. I pick the home team on a short week on Thursday Night Football. I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens.
Okay, now for the record, you did that last week. It worked out. You did that the week before. It worked out. We both did it week 8. We both picked the road team.
Yep.
Week 7. We both picked the home team week 5 and lost. We both picked the
road team week
4. And then we picked the home team week 1 and lost. So this is not a foolproof methodology that you have here, but law of averages says that
the last 2 weeks it's worked out, and we've been different. This is how I've gained any ground. It's because of this. So I'm riding it, baby.
Okay. Yeah.
Ravens flock, embrace me. I'm here for you.
The computer currently has the spread at Baltimore minus 2.5, which means we're taking Cincinnati to cover the 3.5 point spread. And the injuries to Baltimore could further swing that in Cincinnati's favor. Hendrickson could swing it back too. So we'll finalize that as we know who plays and who doesn't tonight.
Real quick before we get to the next one, tomorrow on the podcast is Takes on Takes. So you know what we need you to do? We need you to drop the takes on this YouTube channel, on this video, and give us the hot stuff. We've been getting some great stuff recently, and give us a lot to choose from. So again, leave your comment on today's video for consideration for Takes on Takes tomorrow.
The other AFC North contest, the Pittsburgh Steelers visiting the Cleveland Browns with Dorian Thompson-Robinson named as the starting quarterback. That was thought it would be PJ Walker at first. They came out and said, no, it's DTR show, which I think is probably a good call. Like, we know what PJ Walker's going to give you. If you can, DTR kind of showed you a baseline in the preseason, and then he played some in the regular season and became very apparent this is not preseason.
Right.
But if you can build off of that and he can get momentum, I think that puts you in a position where if you can win enough games with your defense, and they are, say what you will about their running the ball without Nick Chubb and that being a downgrade from a yards perspective, they're top 2 in the league in rushing yards per game. If you could use that formula, I think the ceiling of DTR getting the reps starting now gives you a better chance to win a playoff game if you can win enough games to get into the playoffs in the meantime. So I like that decision for them.
Who you picking?
Picking the Browns.
Oh, man.
Pittsburgh's not going to sit here and just spit in the wind of every conventional wisdom all season long and win every single week. I'm sorry, they're not.
We fell into that with Minnesota, and I think we've corrected that. Pittsburgh doesn't turn over the ball, right? That's kind of their thing. They take away the football and don't turn it over.
The only thing they do.
But that keeps it close when they're devoid of a difference maker at quarterback, and they're trying to just stay afloat. It's a good script. Gives them a chance. Cleveland with DTR. I know their defense is good. Kyle, I'm going with Pittsburgh, man. I'm going with Pittsburgh. I
might change this one. My conviction's not strong enough to say that.
Well, my convictions aren't strong either, but I don't know. Right. I just feel like their script, okay, we're going to keep it close. They've done a good job of getting Jaylen Warren going a little bit more. Defensively, they're opportunistic for sure. Cleveland's got some injuries on the O-line. I don't know, man. I'm just going with the team with a little bit more intact in an important game. But I can see Cleveland rallying. You know what I mean? They're 6-3. They're in it.
For the Browns are dead last in the league in turnovers. They have 19 turnovers. Can you just not turn the ball over?
Don't ask me that question.
They're 8th in the league. They're
I think it's hard to
turnover differential. They're 8th in the league in turnovers defensively. They play outstanding football. They're top of the charts in just about every metric. Efficiency passing, efficiency rushing, total raw yardage, points scored. They are awesome. And playing that Pittsburgh team at home, it's man, I really want to give it to you. But
Cleveland's at home.
Cleveland's at home.
I'm picking the Steelers. I don't know. You can switch if you want to. I'm picking the Steelers.
The show has it Cleveland -3. So they're taking Cleveland to cover the 1.5 point spread that FanDuel has put together as well. I'll let you know at the end of the show. I might come join you.
All right, let's not forget to come back to it.
I don't want to be the reason I fall into a tie with you.
Well, we got a lot of ball game left here, Kyle. A lot of ball game left.
I understand that. Okay, so we'll do Dolphins Raiders next, and we'll get rolling with the 1:00 slate, Joe.
We're going to get Dolphins and Raiders in right now?
No, I'm saying
Oh,
that was my transition for you to.
I didn't pick up the ball and run with it. But
Yeah.
here's the deal. What you should do is go to DoorDash. I'm obsessed with DoorDash. The convenience of DoorDash is simply unmatched, especially in my busy life. And you know how things are. You're busy. You got kids. You're trying to figure out when you're going to have time to go to the grocery store. You're going to have time to make dinner. Well, you don't have to worry about those things. DoorDash can handle that for you. They'll bring you dinner right to your front door. They'll bring you groceries right to your front door. I love ordering food from my favorite local restaurants. And I did that again last night. Had El Vallarta, had tacos, had salsa. It was delicious
too.
Oh man, what's
and I got it from, no lie, I got it from DoorDash. Hold on, I'll tell you all about it.
You don't remember what you ate for dinner last night?
Well,
tell me you have baby brain without telling you have baby
brain. It's a new restaurant here.
Oh, okay. All right.
So go ahead and finish telling everybody about DoorDash.
Yeah, look, you want groceries as well. They'll give you groceries just like you picked them off the shelf for yourself. Drop them off right at your front door. So check it out. Stop worrying about what's for dinner, what you're going to snack on. They'll bring you an energy drink. You're feeling a little down? Go to DoorDash. You don't even have to leave your house. They'll bring you an energy drink right to your front door. Kyle's probably sipping on one that he got from DoorDash as well. So we got a deal here. Get 50% off up to a $10 value when you spend $15 or more on your first order. When you download the DoorDash app and enter code LOCKED23, subject to change, terms apply. Again, don't forget to use code LOCKED23 for 50% off up to a $10 value on your first order when you download the DoorDash app and spend $15 or more. Subject to change, terms apply.
It was La Mixteca Poblana.
A little poble. What is this thing you get?
Mole Poblano.
Okay. Did you get that?
No. We got
chocolate chicken for you this time?
It's all tacos, and I actually think it's like a food truck type thing.
Oh, okay.
But it's new on our thing, so we got we got chicken, ground beef, and pork tacos, and then a chicken quesadilla for my daughter.
That's what I was going to ask you. What do you get for your daughter? Because she's mac and cheese and French fries with right
Dia. I want a Dia. I said, okay, get you Dia.
Okay, that's good that she likes them.
Raiders, Dolphins. Next game on the slate here. FanDuel's got this thing up to 12.5. Some places have it up to 13.5, but FanDuel's got it at 12.5. This game started at -10, Joe.
Yeah.
Dolphins at home. I think we're both picking the Dolphins to win the game.
I don't know, man. Raiders, Antonio Pierce, a little 2-game bump here, leaning into Aiden O'Connell and Josh Jacobs. Come on now, Raiders. No, Dolphins. I told you, I don't think the Dolphins have an athletic ceiling. Okay. I don't think they're capable of a stinker. I don't like, maybe they won't beat every good team, but teams like the Raiders and the Commanders and the Jets that are coming up on their schedule, they're going to mow them down. There's just too many athletic problems. Like even that Carolina game, down 14-0, you just knew there was a moment where it was going to break open. And I think that's true with Miami. They're going to romp the Raiders.
I just think the Raiders, their back seven, Spillane's played awesome for them, right? But your core back seven is Spillane, it's Divine Diablo, it's Trayvon Moreg. Who's the other corner spot? Is it Jack Jones?
Right, it might be
Bennett. Like and Max Crosby's awesome, but I don't think they have the complementary pieces around him
exactly
to optimize it. So,
Raiders are going to run the ball 45 times if they can. We'll see. Probably not going to go well.
What the Raiders have to do is make sure Miami doesn't score 2 touchdowns on their first 3 possessions, because if they do that, then that game script gets very, very ugly for Aiden O'Connell.
Can't imagine in a world where they don't score 2 touchdowns in the first 3 possessions. It doesn't matter even if it does. Like they're going, it's the glass ceiling shatters at some point with that speed. Is Achane back?
He is, yeah.
Oh, forget about it. Good night, Raiders.
The show is taking the Dolphins to cover the hefty spread as well. Yeah. The Lions at home against the Chicago Bears. Justin Fields presumably returning. It sounds like that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Detroit is favored by 7.5 at FanDuel.
I like the Lions at home. They're a better team.
I have no reason to pick the Bears in this game.
Yeah, I don't either.
The show has a very lofty discrepancy that is more than a touchdown higher than the discrepancy that FanDuel has posted. So comfortably picking. The first 2 games we picked were close. The last 2 games, the show likes more than a touchdown higher than what the spread is actually.
Wow. We got big spreads this week, right?
If you're looking for confidence points for some of these against the spread picks, The show really likes Miami and Detroit at home against their respective opponents to cover their respective spreads.
Now, I would stay away from division games and confidence points, so lean into the Dolphins there. At home,
Okay.
Raiders,
Well,
come on.
we got a couple of the big ones that we can lean into here too.
Yep.
Not this next one necessarily. It is a divisional game. It's the Tennessee Titans and Will Levis visiting the Jacksonville Jaguars, looking to get back on track after the ugly performance against San Francisco last week. The spread on FanDuel is -7.
Well, the host of Locked On Titans is not feeling the this one as a realistic opportunity going to Jacksonville. Tennessee's, I think they're always going to have a chance with kind of their style of play, but I think Mike Caldwell coached defense against Will Levis. Looking for a bounce back game here for Jacksonville after their disappointment last week. I think Jacksonville handles their business at home.
I think the worst thing that could have happened to Tennessee for this game was Jacksonville losing the way that they did last week.
Yep.
And
come out swinging, I'm sure.
Yep. And you get refocused, divisional game, kind of say, look, guys, lick your wounds. But this one's one that a block that we have to put in place for us to achieve what we want to. Houston is kind of breathing down our necks a little bit.
Oh, they're breathing
head to head already. Like
yeah.
We got to take care of business here. So I think Jacksonville wins. I think they do win comfortably. I think a young quarterback on the road is not a good recipe. The show has it Jacksonville -9 versus -7. So the show is taking Jacksonville to cover their spread at home as well, which is the fourth consecutive game in which we have picked that. Chargers and Packers.
Hard game to pick, right? Because I think there's a variability with the Chargers that confuses me. Well, because they're the road team, right? I give that a little bit of credit in Green Bay. I think that's always a tough place to go play a football game, especially mid-November. It's probably going to be pretty chilly. I don't think it's going to matter. I think that the Chargers can score at a rate that the Packers cannot hang with. So I think Chargers get a road win here.
Packers super banged up, 1-5 in their last 6 games. I have no reason to pick the Packers until they give me a reason to pick them. I'm picking the Chargers, especially a desperate Chargers team that's looking to get back to 500 after another heartbreaking loss at home in a high-scoring shootout. That's the second one that they've dropped of that caliber this year. That was a very winnable game, and have to think their leverage versus Green Bay sliding the way that Green Bay is sliding. I just don't like the trajectory. Even though their rushing game has come to life a little bit, they still continue to struggle to protect the football, and I'll take the Chargers as well. The show has the spread exactly what FanDuel does. Chargers -3. So we're on Chargers -3. Cardinals visiting Houston Texans. What a game this is. Between teams that traded first-round picks in this year's NFL draft to allow Nick Casario's master plan to come to life, right? The Cardinals trade down, end up picking Paris Johnson. They trade back up 12-6, and but they moved out of that 3 spot so Houston could land Will Anderson. Fun storylines there. The storyline, CJ Stroud. Consecutive 2-minute comeback victories in consecutive weeks for him. They're at home. I'm picking another big-time win for the Houston Texans this week.
I'm going to pick a win for the Houston Texans, but I bet you this one's close. I really do. I think.
So exactly what we said last week with the Atlanta, same thing.
Yeah. I think it's. Yeah, I don't think Houston destroys them. I don't. I certainly DeMeco Ryans and his experience against Kyler Murray. I know that it's a different coaching staff, but keenly aware of his tendencies as a player. I think Houston wins at home, but I think it's a little closer than people are going to think.
The show has Houston covering 4.5. So, one more in this block.
One more.
The Dallas Cowboys visiting the Carolina Panthers.
Dallas.
Bryce.
Yeah, Dallas.
Yeah.
Micah Parsons, be nice to Bryce. He's not a very big guy.
That's going to be ugly.
Yeah.
And Dallas, that's what Dallas does. And has done all season. If they get a team that is the Arizona game aside, I guess, when Dallas didn't have a bunch of their offensive linemen, if they're getting a bad team, they don't play with you.
You shouldn't.
They have waxed some teams this year that are bad football teams the way that they waxed the Jets, the way that they waxed the Giants the first time, the way that they waxed the Patriots, the way that they waxed the Rams when they were all banged up, the way that they waxed the Giants again. Like, they are hammering these teams that are struggling. And you've got another struggling football team in the Carolina Panthers, which is currently on pace to have the worst record in the NFL and has changed play caller assignments twice already. Bryce Young against the Dallas defense is scary stuff. Yeah. It's not going to be pretty. So, Dallas big.
And the show is on Dallas?
On Dallas to cover 10.5 point spread, yeah.
All right, we got the Super Bowl rematch, a couple of big divisional matchups here coming up in just a moment. But first, look, we spend a lot of time together, you and I. We get fired up over big wins, who's going to start, who's going to sit. And I'm thankful for the connection that we have. And today I want our chat to be a little more personal. So whether you're on extended travel, bracing for a major weather event, or limited by yet another supply shortage, you are covered, my friend, thanks to our partners at Jase Medical. Life-saving antibiotics and a long list of daily medications can be ordered in a 1-year supply, even ED generics for Cialis, Viagra, and Revatio prescriptions. So go online right now at jasemedical.com to receive your 12-month supply on your daily medications. Remember, use our promo code LOCKEDON at checkout for a discount as well. So if you or someone you love would like to get some peace of mind by having an entire year's supply of any daily medication, go to Jase Medical to see if it's offered for you. Remember, use our promo code LOCKEDON for $20 off your purchase.
We have to talk about the New York Giants.
We don't. They play the Commanders. The favorite. I mean, like, get through this real quick here. 9.5 points.
So, can we clarify for the show? I don't know how to score Tommy DeVito versus the regular scale of quarterbacks that we have, because the show rankings
non-roster caliber.
Right. But we don't grade quarterbacks that way.
Oh, well, he's 32.
Well, 32 is still, it's putting him in a stratosphere of players that's not appropriate.
Give him -5 points for having Tommy DeVito as their quarterback.
Okay. And the reason I ask is, like, the show rankings don't love the Giants and they don't love the Commanders. So it's close enough where Washington being favored by 9.5, like, the show rankings, without skewing appropriately for Tommy DeVito, has the Giants covering the 9.5 point spread. But Tommy DeVito in the year 2023 has played in games in which the Giants have had -9 passing yards and I think 60-something passing yards in 2 of their 3 games. Like,
he lives at home with his parents, so that's a cool storyline, right? Doesn't have to do his laundry.
There's cool storylines with Tommy DeVito, but you watched him play in college and you knew that he wasn't an NFL quarterback, and yet somehow here he is as a rookie starting games for the Giants. Like, come on, put the kid in a position to be successful and have somebody else on your freaking roster. Go sign Joe Flacco.
Do you realize what you just said, but you didn't say?
What?
Put him in a position to be successful and have somebody else on your roster.
Play.
And don't play him. Don't give him a chance to play, because there's no chance
playing. This was always a developmental practice squad.
It's a training camp arm, Kyle. It's a training camp arm.
Right.
You sign him in May to get through rookie minicamp. I don't know how to explain that to you.
You have Tyrod Taylor, who's on IR, and I get that Daniel Jones. How is this your third? You don't have anybody in your lexicon or your little black book to call?
So the Dolphins' third quarter was Skylar Thompson, right?
Skylar Thompson.
Okay, that's certainly better. The Bills is Shane Buechele. If they got to their third guy, that's who would play.
But if they got to their third guy, the third guy would play the emergency game, and they would sign somebody immediately.
That's fair, right? And there was options. You mentioned Joe Flacco. Carson Wentz has been out there.
Right.
Okay, that's a fair criticism. Yeah, the third quarterback never. Yeah, you get through the one game that you have to. And then somebody else, Josh
Johnson. Right. What's Josh Johnson doing?
Right. He's always available, right?
He did that for San Francisco and then played.
He's majored in this. He's played 20 years in the NFL doing exactly this.
So for us to sit here and it's been a month and we're rolling with Tommy DeVito, it's BS for Tommy DeVito. I feel for him. But to properly quantify Tommy DeVito and what he is, that's why I wanted to clarify, because we mathematically do it.
Listen.
And I say, hey, look, I can put him in the bottom tier with the other bottom tier quarterbacks. He's not on the same tier as those guys.
In defense of the Giants fans that are yelling at us, they did sign Matt Barkley, who's coming off of a partially torn UCL.
Great. What's he going to need, a month to get ready to play?
I don't know. I mean, he injured.
Lay
It was
down.
during preseason. It was the last preseason game that he injured that. So I don't know if I don't know what partially torn UCL is, how long that takes to heal. But
The whole show's on the Commanders, which Commanders
take command.
Puts them at 5-6 potentially, and then they go to Dallas.
But you got to move them up in your power rankings, bro.
No, I don't, because they go to Dallas and then they play Miami their next 2 games. And they also have to play the 49ers, the Cowboys again, and at New York Jets.
Careful. Those guys can score, man.
They can score. Last time they played the Giants, they scored 7 points.
See if they do a little better this time.
I have a feeling they will.
Bucks, Niners, we got to get off this game.
Bucks, Niners. Niners favored by 11.5. We're picking the 49ers to win the game at home, correct?
Yes.
Let's get that out of the way.
Yeah.
The show has it at San Francisco -12. So it's very close to the actual spread. But we are taking 49ers to cover -11.5.
Good thing about picking 49ers in like a big spread is they definitely keep their foot on the throat, right? Like they don't let up.
Clearly, he's trying to score a touchdown and give Christian McCaffrey
his 18th game in a row with a touchdown, where your backup quarterback's in the game. What are we doing?
Jets, Bills. Jets won the first game. The Bills have to win this football game, right? They've made a statement move by firing a coordinator.
Yeah.
They're banged up. I get it. But what's banged up with the Bills is the defense. And you're playing the Zach Wilson offense. And
the Bills should win.
If you did not gift wrap how many short fields the first time you played, you win that game probably 24-3 and you move on with your life. But they did, and they lost the game.
The problem is the Bills just keep doing that. Right? Like that's the problem.
That's why I think the statement of firing Ken Dorsey, wake up, guys.
Right.
It's time to wake up. We gotta stop doing it to ourselves. I think the Bills win, and I think they cover the 7-point spread that they're getting at home.
Ooh. Do you really? Like, you think they win by more than 7?
Yeah, I do.
Will they score enough to do that? I don't know. I think the Bills win the game.
Will the Jets score enough to do that?
No, that's the thing. They scored like 1 touchdown in their last 3 games. That's going to be a problem.
The 3 touchdowns in 5 weeks.
Yeah, it's not.
I think that's even more imposing. It's 3 touchdowns in 5 weeks.
Yeah. Probably score about 3 of those a game, you know?
Right. So
they're short 15 they're short 13 touchdowns over the last 5 games. Well, yeah, I think the Bills win.
The show is also on, has it at -11. So the show is on Buffalo -7. Seattle, we have 3 games to go. At LA Rams. Sometimes these divisional games get a little weird. Seattle is favored by 1. The show rankings have it as Seattle -1. So we are on Seattle -1. I'm also on Seattle to win the football game.
Yeah, me too. Going Seattle.
And especially for Seattle, you look at Seattle big picture. And I know we've kind of talked about this with their schedule, but they got some hard ones coming.
They got to have this one.
You got to understand, you got to go, you're at 6, right? You probably need 9 to make the playoffs in the NFC.
Yeah, probably so. I think 10 for sure. There's not 10 win teams missing in the NFC.
But you sit here, you start doing this math. You got San Francisco 2 out of your next 3 weeks, and the next 2 games after that are included in the next 4 after the Rams are at Dallas and Philadelphia.
Yikes! Yeah,
that's your next 4 after this one, right? So don't play with your food, because if you drop this one, you're gonna be rolling into Christmas. You're gonna be under 500 potentially. So go win this football game. I think they can. I think they do. But it was close against Washington. They went to overtime last week.
Well, and didn't the Rams beat Seattle earlier in the season?
They did, yes. Week 1, and they waxed them 30-13.
Yeah,
in Seattle. So hopefully there's some motivation there. Minnesota at Denver in the wild, wacky game of the week.
This is the hardest one to pick.
Weird teams. Yes, it is the hardest one to pick.
All right, so let's flesh it out. Denver's at home.
At home.
They played much better defense over their last really 4 or 5 games.
They have.
They're running the ball better. Russ Wilson's doing a good job of not turning it over and just playing off script and dumping it to running backs, and they get big gains, right? That's kind of their MO there.
Yep.
Minnesota doesn't care about anything. They just win. They're on the road.
Josh Dobbs' 3rd start. He's been so good in the first 2, it can't possibly matter that he's in his 3rd start with the team. He's been there 3 weeks.
Here's my rationale. I know this isn't like detailed analysis that's really going to move the needle. I just don't feel like I can pick against Minnesota. I think that's what it's going to come down to. I think I'm going to go with the Vikings. And actually, I do have a compelling piece of analysis here, and this is probably going to tip it for you too. Russell Wilson's a bottom 5 quarterback this year against the blitz. Sub 70 passer rating. Brian Flores going to blitz him.
Brian Flores says,
"Going to blitz him.
Here we come.
Going to blitz him." I think Vikings win.
Yeah, you're really testing the efficiency of your hot answers and kind of the efficiency of getting the ball quickly out of your hands and perimeter screens. And I don't think they can run the ball with that much success. Javonte Williams looks like he's still getting off the knee injury a little bit to me. I don't think he looks like he's his full self that based off what he was in North Carolina. So I'm riding with you. Let's go Vikings. Our purple cockroaches. I can't possibly pick against them.
Well, congrats, Denver. You're going to win the game.
Well, the good news is the show has Denver to not only cover the spread, but win the game. So we are off the rails of the show there.
Okay.
And then our last game is a rematch of last year's Super Bowl. The Philadelphia Eagles at the Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium. FanDuel has it Kansas City minus 2.5.
Are they both these teams off the bye too?
Yes.
No, Kansas City is. Philly too, right?
They're both off the bye, yes. So it's literally a rerun just at Arrowhead instead of at a neutral site.
And isn't Andy Reid just like the greatest coach in the history of forever off the bye?
I believe I can recall him having a lot of success off the bye, yes.
28-4 for his career.
Off the bye?
Yeah. 20-3 in the regular season last year. So there's probably 21-3. That's pretty compelling for a home team. I sort of like Philly though. Like I know that's flying in the like that's one piece of data, right? Like it's one good piece of data. Like, but what team's been playing better this year
than Philadelphia?
Yeah, like Philadelphia, Kansas. What team's playing better?
And they haven't played their most complete football.
Yeah, it's like Mahomes at home off the bye, Andy Reid. I just like Philly better. I just think they're the better football team.
Acknowledging the Dallas Goedert injury.
I'm going Philly.
The show has Philly plus 1.5 versus the actual 2.5. So the show is on Philly as well. I think Philly's a better team too. Having prepped for and played both of these teams this season already, I do believe Philadelphia's the better football team. And neither one of them has really put a complete game together. And that might be the difference in this game is Kansas City at home. Is that enough to play the complete game that you need to win the game?
I worry about them having anything outside of Travis Kelce on offense that they can lean on. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I know Patrick Mahomes is awesome and stuff. He figures it out, but like
the tackle play is not great. That Eagles defensive front, they've got the horses to match you inside. If you want to run the ball.
Going off the edge against those tackles too, right? Like you mentioned there.
Yeah. So we're all riding Philly. And that means we are separate on 2 games. The first 2 games that we did.
The AFC North.
And the Pittsburgh Steelers, Cleveland Browns.
So we'll know real quick.
Yeah, we might be tied after week 11. And we'll see. We're looking forward to that. We're looking forward to the games that are ahead. We have takes on takes tomorrow. Like Joe said it earlier, so make sure you drop your hot takes into the comments here on this YouTube channel. And we will take all of your hot takes and react to them tomorrow on the show. I'm Kyle Crabbs. He is Joe Marino. We are locked on NFL Scouting with the Draft Dudes. Appreciate you guys checking out the show. Make it a great rest of your day. We're out of here.